Fun Facts presents the 1963 Pontiac Super Duty 421, one of the oldest classic muscle cars, introduced back in 1961, and the production was through 1966. Are you excited? I'm excited. So let's get started now. While most people associate the Pontiac performance in the early part of the 1960s with the 389, there was another engine that truly proved to be the brand's beast. The mighty Pontiac 421 was a star on the drag strip and a supernova on the NASCAR tracks of the first half of the 60s. Released in 1961, the 421 was a bored and stroked 389 which sported a bore of 4.094 and a stroke of 4.00. The other major difference between the typical Pontiac engine of the time was that one was used the large journal block with the 3.25-inch mains and the 4-bolt main caps. There were production 421s, and then there were the Super Duty 421s. The Super Duty engines got forged steel cranks and forged steel rods. If it was heading for the NASCAR, the engine got a single 4-barrel carburetor and intake setup. And if it were heading to the drag strip, it got a dual 4-barrel setup. It was not until the 421 street engines hit the showroom floor and they would be in production with lesser horsepower output than the full kill versions. Wow, I love that. The full kill versions. You gotta love that. Until 1966. So the street engines carried a horsepower of rating of 376, which was conservative. The SD engines produced nearly 500 horsepower. This is 1961. We had to guess that the street engines were 400 horsepower performers on a bad day. The interesting things that the CD engines had were stuff like aluminum cast exhaust headers and the radical, for the time, number 10 McKellar mechanical lift camshaft. As you will hear in the first video below, which I don't have and I'm not going to be sharing with you, the engine sounded pretty gnarly. In today's world, we have completely bonkered camshafts out there for the purchase, but in the early 1960s, it was some pretty ragged edge stuff. The thing had 308 degrees of intake duration and 320 on the exhaust side. And you guys, I'm going to be leaving the link to this video so you can listen to those videos in this article. And the article that I'm reading from is called bangshift.com. And it's Happy 421, let's celebrate the mighty Pontiac 421, melted tires 1961 through 1966. So back with the article. Lots of 421s powered Catalinas, 2+2s, Bonnevilles, Grand Prix models over the years. Of course, if you have real money to spend, you'll hunt down a Super Duty Tempest or a Super Duty Catalina or a Super Duty Ventura. These cars were horrifying to see pull into the drag strip if you were driving anything else during the 1961 season. Pontiac won 30 out of 52 races that year. In 1963, a Super Duty Tempest leveled a field of cars that included the Mystery Motor Corvette and at least one Ferrari 250 GTO at Daytona. Holy smokes. I don't know that you couldn't find a good deal on one of these cars. You got to think there's somebody that's got a car sitting in their garage right now that has no idea that this thing has up to 400 horsepower, if you can believe that, and maybe even more. I mean, I think they're being conservative at the 400 horsepower. I mean, I was born in '56, so how would I know what a 61, Pontiac would do or would look like? I mean, these cars look like grandma's cars. I mean, this looks like something my grandpa would have drove. But holy smokes, unbelievable. Sleepers. Okay, moving on. The 1963 Pontiac Super Duty 421. So Pontiac poured on so much muscle car performance for '63 that only in order from the highest power could slow it down. Unfortunately, that's what happened with the 1963 Pontiac Super Duty 421. Super Duty 421s were back, tougher than ever. Compression jumped from 11.1 to 12.1, while other tweaks increased the maximum shift points by 500 RPMs to screaming 6,400 RPMs. The 4-barrel version set up for sustained high speeds at 390 horsepower. The dual quad drag variant, now with an aluminum exhaust manifolds standard and steel manifolds optional, was again underrated at 405 horsepower. A second dual quad drag rendition was introduced with a 13-to-1 squeeze. Pontiac timidly rated it at 410 horsepower. Factory weight cutting again included aluminum front end pieces and was joined by the famous Swiss cheese frames, which had grapefruit-sized holes drilled into the chassis rails. Super Duty 421s came only with a Hurst-shifted 3 or 4-speed manual. Axle ratios up to 4.441 were offered. Dealers were advised to warn customers to maintain a minimum idle speed of 1,000 RPMs to ensure adequate lubrication, that the engine would be, what does that say? Cantankerous, I guess, in cold weather. Noisy all the time and expensive to run, and that the large capacity oil pan reduced the ground clearance. I don't know why I find this so funny. I just picture my grandfather in one of these Super Duty Pontiacs, driving up to see the grandkids, and you have no idea that underneath the hood is, 420 horsepower, and he's out there dragging other cars, when he leaves the house smoking his pipe. I mean, this is too funny for me. These high output 421s had 10.75 to 1 compression and 350 horsepower with a 4-barrel or 370 horsepower with a 3 2-barrels. And the only reason I'm still laughing is that I've been doing, videos on all these muscle cars, and, I tend to pick the muscle cars that look like muscle cars. And so the ones that I haven't done yet would be like what I'm doing now, a Pontiac 61, 63 Super Duty. And the only reason I'm doing it is I saw that it had a 421, and I'm thinking this is a pretty, this is going to be considered a muscle car. But I'm laughing because it doesn't look anything like a muscle car. I mean, holy smokes. So Big Poncho's got new sheet metal for '63, highlighted by trend-setting stacked headlamps. Pontiac was a force on the street and strip, while in the NASCAR, it fought to retain its crown against the brutal new 427 Chevrolets. It's just too much for me. I love this stuff. So anyway, if you found yourself this far into the video and you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up because it really does help our channel. I'm reading from a different article now that was from musclecars.com howstuffworks.com. I'll leave a link also below in the description because I'm not going to read it. This video would become way too long. And if you like our video, please give us a thumbs up if I've already said that. And if you wish, please subscribe to our channel because I'm going to be unveiling more muscle cars that I just cannot believe that this is a muscle car, but it is. Okay, and so thank you for taking the time out of the day, and look forward to seeing you in our next upload. Take care, always take good care, and all right, thank you for watching.